Hello all, welcome to Mughals to Mahatma series of Convert IAS. The theme of this video is Sikhs and Jats. So these are two important factors that we should understand in the context of Mughal decline and in the context of rebellions that happened in the 18th century. But Sikhs and Jats have a much deeper history, a history that is asked in UPSC as well. This can come as a part of medieval India, where Bhakti tradition is asked, because you have Sikh gurus like Guru Nanak, and it can be asked politically as well in the context of rebellions. So we'll discuss both aspects completely. This video is intended to cover Sikhs and Jats comprehensively for you to answer every question that is related to these two topics. So let's start. I'll put this in context of 18th century first. Now see this. In the previous video, we have discussed about different states that occurred once the Mughals declined. 1707 is the year that you should remember because that's the year in which Aurangzeb died. The decline of Mughals started in this year itself or sometime before this. You can say the policies of Aurangzeb led to the decline, and you have a series of weak Mughals after Aurangzeb. During this time, because the centralized polity is getting weaker, you have other polities coming up. These polities can be called as regional power centers. One of such state is the successor state. We have a separate video about this. And examples of this are states like Awadh. These were former Mughal governors who later became independent. Then you have independent states who has nothing to do with the Mughals. They never accepted the Mughal sovereignty. Neither are they supporting the Mughals nor are they challenging the Mughals. For example, the Mysore state. You have Tipu Sultan and Hyder Ali deep in the south, and they don't have any relation with the Mughals as such. Then you have a particular section called the rebel states. Here you have states that are constantly in conflict with the Mughals. One example is the Marathas, one example is the Sikhs, another example is the Jats. We are going to discuss Sikhs and Jats in this video. Marathas will be discussed as a separate video. Now see this, there are two important factors that defines a rebel state. First, they are set up against the Mughals. So a constant rivalry is going on. And these rebel states often indulges in revolts against the Mughals. For example, the Sikh rebellions. In the context of Sikhs and Jats, you can see both these features. That is constant conflict with the Mughals. You can have a look at the map here. This is a map from 1750s. So if you see the map here, this is Rajputs, this is an independent state. You have Punjab region here. This is the region where the Sikhs comes into power. When it comes to the Jats, they are concentrated in Delhi, Agra and Mathura. And their empire under Suraj Mahal will get expanded. I'll explain that once I come to that particular area. But just understand that this is the strong area of Jats. So right under the nose of Mughals, you have two prominent rebel states, Sikhs and Jats coming up. And these states, Bengal, Awadh and Hyderabad, these are successor states. Mysore is an independent state, Rajput is an independent state, Maratha is again a rebel state. So this is the scenario in 1750s. Now let's go to Sikhism. I am intending to start from the very root of Sikhism here. Because it is asked, as I told you, it is asked both culturally as well as politically. Our inclination in this video will be more political, but I'll just explain you the cultural dimensions as well, just to get the facts right for prelims. See, Sikhism is at the same time a religion as well as a philosophy. We say it is a philosophy because it has a philosophical base given by Guru Nanak. We say it is a religion because it has an organizational structure over the period of time. That was developed over the period of time through several Sikh gurus. You have 10 Sikh gurus. After that, you have other leaders as well. I've already told you the region is Punjab. And the century in which it starts is 15th century. Here you have to note something very important. See, UPSC always has an obsession with chronology. So you can see questions like Guru Nanak is a contemporary of Akbar, or Guru Arjan Dev is killed by Aurangzeb. So when you have questions like this, first you should know what is their time period. and you should know the context in which they engaged with the Mughals. Only then you can answer questions like that. So in the next few slides, I'm going to explain the slide dates. I'm going to explain the context in which each Sikh Guru should be remembered. Just 2 points each for each Sikh Guru, and only the major Sikh Gurus. We are not going to look at the 10 Sikh Gurus, only the major Sikh Gurus, and 2 points each. Just remember that, including the timeline. So let's start with Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak is the first Sikh Guru and the founder of Sikhism. That is a matter of fact. Second, he is the one who gave the philosophical base. So he should be seen as a saint, medieval Bhakti saint. And his idea of God was Nirguna. This is very important. Nirguna concept of God means you are believing in a monotheistic God without a form. In the opposite to this, you can have Saguna Bhakt. Here you have people like Mirabai, who believes in God with a form. Along with Guru Nanak, you have people like Kabir, who are similar Nirguna Bhakt. So that's the philosophical base of it. But at that time, it was a very vague and unorganized philosophical base with just things like this. The way modern Sikhism is followed, it's not developed entirely during the period of Guru Nanak. And see the time period of Guru Nanak, 1469 to 1539. Now this is where you have to mark the contemporaries. Babur came to India in 1526. He died in 1530. So Guru Nanak is a contemporary of Babur. From 1530 to 1540, you have the reign of Humayun. So Guru Nanak is a contemporary of Humayun as well. If Guru Nanak is asked to be a contemporary of Akbar, no, he is not. Because Akbar's reign starts from 1556 and lasts till 1605. Guru Nanak died before that. So be very clear, Guru Nanak is a contemporary of Babur and Akbar, Babur and Humayun, not Akbar. So that's about Guru Nanak. I've told you the philosophical base that he has put forth. This is which is Nirguna Bhakt. One more important point. See, the saints who came up with Nirguna Bhakt, they also had one more ideology in their Bhakti tradition, which was to break the caste hierarchy. That is why they are believing in a God without form, a single God that takes everyone together. If you see the Sikh tradition of joint dining, you can see everybody sitting together and eating. It breaks the caste dynamics. One important point that you have to remember politically here, that the people who were assembled behind Guru Nanak, or the people whom Guru Nanak organized, they were lower caste people in the Punjab region, mostly engaged in agriculture. So this is the mass base of Sikhism. Even for Jats, you have a similar social base that should be remembered. So this is the mass base of Sikhism. And it all starts with Guru Nanak. Now see the second Sikh Guru, whose name is Angad Dev. First look at the time period. Again, he dies in 1552. And by the time Akbar's reign is not starting yet, which is 1556. So Guru Angad Dev is not a contemporary of Akbar either. Now what is the contribution of Guru Angad Dev? He compiled the writings of Guru Nanak and his own compositions. He added that together with that, and he did that in Gurmukhi script. This is the only notable contribution. So every time, so you take the case of Buddha, 6th century, Buddha gives the teachings, then later comes other people like Nagarjuna, Nagasena. These people will compile it, the Buddhist council will happen, and Buddhism will become a proper religion after that. Same thing will happen in terms of Sikhism as well. Guru Nanak will give the sermon, Angad Dev is compiling it. You can see that. Now see the third Sikh Guru. He is Guru Amar Das. His time period is 1479 to 1574. And this period, you can see Akbar coming in. He is a contemporary to Akbar. Here you have to know one thing, that Akbar is someone who is tolerant. So Akbar is someone who has something called Ibadat Khana. This is a previous year question of the UPSC, this term, Ibadat Khana. Ibadat Khana is a place where Akbar used to have religious discussions with people from all religious sects. He had Jesuit priests, the Muslim ulema, The Portuguese, the British, the Muslim saints, the Sikhs, everybody. He used to take everyone together. And as a result of these discussions, he formed this universal religion called Din Ilahi. So this is Akbar. Because of this, Akbar had a tolerant attitude. But this was not the case with Aurangzeb, who comes after this. And that is when the issues will start. So remember this, his Akbar contemporary, no problem. What he did was to fortify the Sikh movement through institutions called Manjis and Piris. So when you study the history of Sikhism, certain institutions like this are important. Later you will come across something called the Khalsa. You will also come across something called Misl. The initial form of this is Manjis and Piris, and it is organized by Guru Amar Das, the third Sikh Guru. Now you see the fourth Sikh Guru, Guru Ram Das, again a contemporary of Akbar. So the first two Sikh Gurus were not Akbar's contemporaries. Guru Nanak was a contemporary of Akbar. The third and fourth Sikh Gurus are contemporaries of Akbar. What he did was to do the groundwork for the sacred city of Amritsar. Now this city is important. Two cities are important in the history of Sikhs. One is Amritsar, second is Lahore. So when you talk about Punjab, Punjab is in undivided India at that time. So you have Punjab both in Pakistan and India now. And this entire region from Kashmir, modern day Pakistan, India, this is the part of the Sikh territory at that time. So the groundwork of the sacred city of Amritsar was laid by Ramdas. Now go to the fifth Sikh Guru, Guru Arjan Dev. He is an important Sikh Guru, someone whom you have to remember. See, Guru Arjan Dev dies in 1606. Akbar dies in 1605. So it is during the last period of Akbar, during the same period of Guru Arjan Dev, that Sikhism is getting more and more consolidated, because Guru Arjan Dev is the one who constructs Har Mandir. Har Mandir is the modern day Golden Temple. So this Har Mandir gets plated in gold during the time of Ranjit Singh. We'll come to that later. But this was constructed by Arjan Dev. Arjan Dev also compiled the Sikh traditional text, which is Guru Granth Sahib, and he placed it within the sacred premises of the Har Mandir. So he has made a significant contribution, something similar to what Kanishka did for Buddhism. So Arjan Dev has to be remembered. Again, his timeline is here. Now see the 9th Sikh Guru. The 6, 7, 8 Sikh Gurus, not very important. Let's go to the 9th Sikh Guru. Very, very important person. His name is Guru Tegh Bahadur. Very important because he was killed by Aurangzeb. He was executed in Delhi. Why? Because he refused to convert to Islam. Aurangzeb, as we know, was a very fundamentalist when it comes to religion. He reimposed jizya. He came up with austerity measures. He was unlike his predecessors. So his relation with the Marathas, the Rajputs, everything weakened because of his religious policy. So he killed Guru Tegh Bahadur. He executed him because he refused to convert to Islam. Now Guru Tegh Bahadur is also credited for finding the town of Anandpur. And he called himself Sacha Badshah, the real king. So these two things, even if you forget, no issues, but you should know that Guru Tegh Bahadur is killed by Aurangzeb. So naturally, he is a contemporary of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb's reign extends till 1707. And this period is the most violent period between Mughals and Sikhs. You have a lot of rebellions sprouting up. Aurangzeb will keep suppressing it, but it will come up again, and that will be a routine affair. We have discussed this in the context of decline of Mughals as well. This is one of the important reasons. The 10th Sikh Guru, Guru Gobind Singh, the most important Sikh Guru. If Guru Nanak was the person who gave the philosophical base, Guru Gobind Singh is the one who consolidated the organizational structure. He formed something called the Khalsa. Now this can be a very factual question for you. Name the Sikh Guru who formed the Khalsa, or any other name can be given and attributed the Khalsa to him, his name, but it is Guru Gobind Singh. Don't mistake that. Khalsa means the pure, literally. It is a martial order. So the Sikhs were ordered into a militia type of groups. And he introduced the 5 symbols of Sikhism. So 5 symbols of Sikhism, you know, the kirpan, the turban, the long hair, these things. He is the one who gave that organizational religious form to Sikhism. And his time period is 1666 to 1708. So this is right after the death of Aurangzeb, during the time of Bahadur Shah. So when we learned about Bahadur Shah, we have learned that Bahadur Shah released Sahu. Sahu is the Maratha king. So he reversed the policy of Aurangzeb towards the Marathas. But the policy that the Mughals had towards Sikhs were not reversed. So conflicts continued even during the time of Bahadur Shah. Bahadur Shah's reign was from 1707, that is the death of Aurangzeb, to 1712. During this time, the conflict continued. And the leader of the Sikhs was Guru Gobind Singh died. He was not executed by the Mughals, he died in another way. And another person came into the picture. His name is Banda Bahadur. He's not a Sikh Guru, but this is one name you have to remember. He became the leader of the Sikhs after the death of Guru Gobind Singh. And what he did, he further consolidated the lower caste groups in Punjab and peasants in Punjab region. So he again consolidated from where Guru Gobind Singh left. And see his reign from to 1716. So he took the power in 1708. This is his entire timeline. 1708 is the time when he rose to power. That is after the death of Aurangzeb. And he stayed till 1716. This is when Farrukhsiyah comes into power. So rebellions are continuing. And Mughal polity is getting weakened. So constant rebellion with Mughal is something that he does. Now, very important. We have told till 1718, Banda Bahadur leaves. Now what will happen? The Mughals are weak, so invasions will come from Persia. The first one to come, Nadir Shah. 1739, he does the Battle of Karnal, plunders the Mughal wealth, takes away 70 crore, including the Kohinoor. He annexes the northwest region, that is an influential region of the Sikhs. So this creates anarchy in the region. Then comes Ahmad Shah Abdali. He invades India 7 times, in fact, from 1748 to 1761. Now what he does, he fights the third battle of Panipat. In the third battle of Panipat, what he does is to thrash the Marathas. So you remember the map I told you, show you in the beginning. In that map, you can see the Marathas here. See, Marathas were the biggest power. They were ambitious to replace the Mughals in Delhi because they had the highest territory. But with the 1761 battle, their ambitions were ruined by Ahmad Shah Abdali. So what happened? The threat of Marathas goes and this region becomes anarchical. This region here. Now, this anarchy is cashed again. It is during this anarchical time period when you don't have a strong polity there, the Sikhs will get organized themselves into something called the missiles. Now this is one term that should be understood conceptually. See, I told you about 3 terms. One is something that the third Sikh Guru organized. That is the initial form of polity. Second is something called the Khalsa. The first 2 terms you don't have to remember. Khalsa is something you have to remember. Khalsa means the pure. So it is a group in which the Sikhs are organized as militias. Now missiles means it is a confederacy. It is a confederacy that is based on land as well as power control in different regions. You have to understand it in the context of anarchy in the region. You don't have a centralized power. At that time, you have regional. So you imagine it as something like an oligarchy, where you have regional power centers with a group of people having the power. So different power centers as different missiles. They can be called as confederacies. Now, one of the important missiles there was the Shukracharya missile. It is from this Shukracharya missile that you have a powerful person coming up called Maharaja Ranjit Singh. You have the 10 Sikh Gurus, the Banda Bahadur, then the Persian invasions, the anarchy, then it gets organized into missiles, and from one of the missiles you have Ranjit Singh coming up. Ranjit Singh is someone who consolidates the Sikh Empire again into a proper dynasty. What he does? He recaptures the city of Lahore from Afghan invaders. He also recaptures the city of Amritsar. I've told you there are 2 important cities, Amritsar and Lahore. He recaptures both. He is known as Sher-e Punjab, the Lion of Punjab. What he did was to hire European officers, especially the French, because the British were already here. He hired the French to modernize his army, and he was quite successful in that. He covered the Harmandir Sahib, which is the Golden Temple, in gold, and that's how we know it as Golden Temple now. So he is the person. And look at his timeline. This timeline is important. In 1839, he dies, and after he dies, the Sikh annexation happens. The British annex the state of Sikh to the Indian Union, or whatever the British controlled territory. Now that we will discuss as a separate thing when we talk about the British annexations. But this person is important, and his death year is also important. Before he dies, he signs something called the Tripartite Treaty. That is also something you have to remember, but we'll discuss about that in detail. This Tripartite Treaty is something that he signs with the British for them to annex the Sindh region and for them to fight the Afghan war, because Afghans were enemies for him as well. But the Britishers finally overthrows him from the power, tries to overthrow him, and finally once he dies, they'll annex Punjab. So this is the history of Sikhs. Remember everything starting from Guru Nanak till Ranjit Singh 1839. This is the story of Sikhs. I hope the story is clear. The annexation part, which is the last part, we'll discuss it when we discuss the British annexation in general. Now let's go to Jats. Now I told you Sikhism is a religion and a philosophy in the first place. In case of Jats, they are a group of agriculturalists. And how they organized themselves was through revolts due to the oppressive policies of Aurangzeb. So remember, we discussed something called the Jagirdari crisis during the period of Aurangzeb. Jagirdari crisis means it is a crisis against the peasants, because you have higher revenue assessment, because you have more nobles of peace, but you have higher revenue assessment and less actual revenue. When you have more assessment and less revenue, the pressure is on the agriculturalist, because you are forced to pay more and more tax. So this led to revolts like this, and Jats were a major group. They were concentrated in Delhi, Agra and Mathura. Now you see this. The first major rebellion, this is 1 year and one event that you have to remember, this is in 1699. It took place in Mathura, and the person who led it was named Gokula. Now it is one rebellion, just one rebellion, remember that. After that, Jats became a proper kingdom in 18th century when the Mughal power declined after the death of Aurangzeb. They became a proper kingdom. This happened under the leadership of Churaman Jat and Banda Singh. Two names to remember. It is Banda Bahadur for the Sikhs, it is for the Jats, it is Churaman Jat and Banda Singh. And this power reached its zenith during Surajmal, another name to remember. Churaman, Banda Singh and Surajmal. If you can remember, just remember Gokula as well. Now during that time, look at the regional extent. To the east, they went till Ganga. To the south, they went till Chambal. So they had quite an area under their control. The central Indian region, the modern day Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh region, that was under their control. And this was happening under the leadership of Churaman, Bharat Singh and Surajmal. Now it covers major cities like Agra, Mathura, Meerut and Aligarh. Now what happened? The decline happened because Surajmal died in 1763. 1763, remember the year? 1764, Battle of Buxar will happen. British is gaining control. 1757, Battle of Plassey already happened. By this time, they are also declining. And there is one more reason for their decline. Because a strong leader like Suraj Mahal has died. Now what will happen? The centralization is getting weak. Then the local powers are getting strong. Someone like the Samindas. And what they do is plunder. These Samindas who became strong in that region, what they do is plunder. When they plunder, the economic base ruins. People will get dissatisfied and the entire kingdom will collapse. So this is the story of Jats. So in case of Jats, you don't have very much to remember. Remember that they are rebels, their time period. It ends with 1763, the names associated with it, Surajmal, Churaman, Banda Singh and the rebellion in 1699. In case of Sikhs, you have a lot of facts to remember and you have this analytical part, which is how they came into conflict with the Mughals. That two things to remember. So I hope the concept is clear. Just rewind the facts to get them clearly in your mind for the prelims. So that's it. We'll come up with yet another video again. Thank you for listening.